All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're opening up a playbook that's designed to do one thing: turn you from a target of intimidation into the calmest, most composed person in any high stakes meeting you walk into.
First things first, we have to completely reframe what's happening in those moments. Intimidation, it's not real strength. It's theater. It's a performance designed specifically to make you react before you have a chance to think. So your job isn't to put on a bigger show, it's to simply refuse to be their audience. And this slide really shows you the before and after. On the left, you've got the typical reactive response, talking fast, getting defensive, over-explaining everything. That's exactly the reaction the intimidator is hoping for. But on the right, that's the seasoned pro. Calm, asking questions, holding their ground. Today is all about moving you from that first column over to the second.
So here's our briefing for today. We'll kick things off with the core philosophy of a high-stakes meeting. Then we'll get into mastering your own presence. From there, we'll cover how to steer the conversation, how to execute a powerful close, and finally, how to really forge that mindset of an unshakable negotiator.
Okay, let's start with the absolute foundation. The goal here is never to meet force with more force. This isn't about who can yell the loudest or be more aggressive. It's about taking control of the psychological frame of the whole interaction. You don't play in their reality, you make them play in yours. So what even is intimidation when you break it down? It's just a tactic. Think of it as a psychological shove. It's designed to speed you up, to get you emotional, and to weaken your stance. The more you flinch, the more you rush your words, well, the more power you're just handing right over. Just understanding that is the first step to taking it all apart. Now, let's get into our first set of practical tactics. This part is all about mastering your own internal state, your own physical presence, before you even say a single word. Because true control, it starts from the inside out. Our very first tactic is something I call freeze the stage. Remember how we said intimidation is theater? Well, they are acting to get a reaction out of you. A quick denial, a defensive comeback. Your first move is to deliberately break their rhythm and just give them nothing.
And here's exactly how you do it. The pressure comes and you just pause. You let that moment hang in the air a little longer than what feels comfortable. You keep your posture solid, you slow down your breathing, and you maintain steady, neutral eyes. That stillness sends a signal that's way more powerful than any words could ever be. It says, your pressure, it didn't land.
All right, next up, you have to control your tempo. Urgency is the fuel that intimidation runs on. They want you to rush, to give fast answers, to make quick concessions. Your counter is to deliberately slow everything down.
When we feel threatened, our nervous system just goes into overdrive. Our speech gets faster, our voice gets higher. We're basically broadcasting stress. But authority slows down. A measured pace with deliberate pauses makes even the simplest words sound powerful. It shows you're in control of your thoughts, not being pushed around by your emotions. Tactic number 3 is all about your physical presence. Intimidation is often a physical game before it's even a verbal one. They might step a little closer or kind of loom over you. They're trying to make you retreat, even just by a few inches. And trust me, those inches matter. So here's how you hold your ground without being aggressive. You plant your feet, create a solid base. You have to fight that instinct to take a little step back. Keep your body squared up and open towards them, and keep your chin level. This posture just screams stability and presence, making it crystal clear you are not going to be moved.
Okay, so we've mastered our own presence. Now let's talk about the interactive tactics. This is where we learn how to actually dismantle the pressure and actively shift the power dynamic right in the middle of the conversation.
So what do you do when you get one of those vague, forceful statements like, "This is just a terrible decision"? Well, your move isn't to argue back louder. It's to use precision questions. You turn the spotlight right back on them and make them explain their own words.
This is your first and best tool. A simple, calm question like this one forces them to switch from attack mode into explanation mode. The key here, though, is your tone. It has to be genuinely curious, not sarcastic. You're not looking for a fight. You're just examining their statement. And as they start to explain, you can go a layer deeper. This question actually increases their cognitive load. See, explaining something is way harder and emotionally weaker than just making an accusation. Now they have to come up with details, with logic, and that just drains all their momentum.
And finally, this is the surgical strike. This is the question that just dissolves exaggeration. So many intimidation tactics rely on these big emotional claims that have no substance. A calm request for evidence forces them to get specific, and believe me, specificity is the mortal enemy of vague intimidation.
Tactic 5 is a really powerful mental move. Intimidators love to use emotional hooks, little comments designed to make you feel angry or proud or embarrassed. Strategic indifference just means you choose not to give those comments any emotional weight. You see the bait, and you consciously decide not to bite. Simple as that.
Now for a more advanced move. Most people think their only options are to fight back or to fold. But there's a third way: calibrated agreement. This is where you acknowledge a tiny piece of their point without giving up your own position at all. And this shows the technique perfectly. Look at the structure. First, you acknowledge their feeling or their perspective. That just dissolves all the friction. Then you calmly recenter on your own position. That's the anchor. I can see why you'd feel that way. My decision stands. It completely disrupts their attack because you're not giving them the fight they were expecting. Okay, and that brings us to the final crucial tactic, the exit. So many people neglect this part, but how you leave a tense encounter defines the lasting impression. The person who controls the end of the meeting controls the memory of the entire meeting. The key is to disengage with total, unwavering steadiness. You use a short, neutral closing line. You gather your things without any rush. Remember, a hurried exit looks like an escape. A calm one signals control. You keep your composure until you are completely out of their sight. This quiet, controlled departure is a final statement of power that doesn't require a single word. So, we've covered a lot of tactics, but at the end of the day, this isn't just about memorizing a bunch of moves. It's about a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's about becoming internally unshakable, no matter what kind of pressure is coming at you from the outside. And this, right here, is the central principle of the entire playbook. Real power in a negotiation doesn't come from being the loudest person in the room. It comes from emotional self-command under pressure. The steady gaze, the measured reply, the boundary you hold without any drama. When you master that, intimidation has absolutely nowhere to land. So I'll leave you with this thought. In your next high-stakes meeting, the pressure is going to come. The performance is going to start. But now you know how to empty the room. The only question left is, who's going to control the frame?